Testing. 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 Hello. 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 No. No. Da. Ah. Da. Da. Oh shit, Hello, users, and welcome to another broadcast. This is a show, this is the Above It All program, etc., etc. Got a show today, everybody. It's a show. It's a planned program, and I'm doing a show today. Got some news that I'm going to get into. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about some stuff. And then we're going to, got my coffee cup. The show is this is the Above It All program. It's the Above It All program. This guy! Look at this guy! Look at this guy! No! Oh! Ah! Alright. So, got a program today. This is the Above It All show. This is the show where it's Above It All show. Today, so today is Wednesday. 111. Everybody, 111. That's January 11. Does anyone remember January 11, 2011? I remember that. It's not 2011 though anymore. This is the Above It All show today. This is the program. I do a program on days like this. And so today I'm going to be doing a show. Yesterday, I also did a show. And so that's, that's something to be proud of. But today I got a show. So anyway, I guess we'll jump in the show. Right? I don't know what to talk about first. There's so much bullshit that I want to talk about today. Let's start with some good news. I want to start today's program with some good news. Some news that gives everyone motivation for their work day or whatever. I don't know. Do you work? Maybe you don't. I'm not sure. But something that's going to really put a spring in your step. And here's the news. Lynette Hardaway, Diamond of Diamond and Silk, dies at age 51. Lynette Hardaway, better known as Diamond of the conservative duo Diamond and Silk, has died. Their social media accounts said Monday she was 51 years old. Diamond was a political commentator and vlogger who worked with her sister, Rochelle Richardson, who went by the name Silk. The pair became known for their ardent support of former President Donald Trump. The former president said in a post on her social media site Truth Social that her death is, quote, really bad news for, quote, all Americans. Quote, a beautiful Diamond of Diamond and Silk has just passed away at her home in the state she loves so much, North Carolina. I'm sure that she really was concerned with where she died. I was like, oh, I don't want to die in South Carolina. Fuck that noise. Trump wrote, adding that her death was, quote, totally unexpected. Cause of death for Diamond was not given. On November 22, Diamond and Silk posted on Twitter, "Anyone who believes in the power of prayer, please pray for Diamond." Diamond and Silk's Facebook page paid tribute to Diamond, calling her, quote, "a true angel and warrior, patriot for freedom, love, and humanity." You know, whenever these right-wing fucking stupid-ass goofballs die, you know what I mean? Isn't it sad that they have to make their deaths like some stupid, like, partisan garbage? Like, think about this, man. Like, if I'm dying and some motherfucker, like, some Republican or Democrat, whatever, is, like, writing, "Andrea was a true warrior for freedom," like, I'd be like, what the fuck? Can you talk about, I don't know, my accomplishments? Wait, I forgot. Diamond didn't have any accomplishments. 51 years old and accomplished fucking nothing other than being a useful mouthpiece for the most disgusting motherfuckers that have ever been in the public scene in this country in a long-ass fucking time. Florida Rep Matt Gaetz called it very sad news, while Colorado Rep Lauren Boebert said Diamond was a wonderful person. According to Diamond and Silk's book, Uprising, who the hell said you can't ditch and switch? Diamond was born on Thanksgiving 1971. I love how it's like according to this book. Not like according to a birth certificate, hospital records. No. We're just taking the word of a book. How old was she? I don't know. The best we got? This book. Silk was born earlier in the same year. In January, they built a platform around their Trump fandom. Yo, that's crazy, though. Like, 2 kids in 1 year. Right, think about that. You have a kid in January. Right, then November is how many months later? I mean, my God, right? What's going on with that family? They're really dedicated to, you know, I don't know what they're dedicated to, but they're dedicated to something. They built a platform around their Trump fandom, calling themselves the former president's most outspoken and loyal supporters. The duo also testified under oath in 2018 about blah, blah, blah. In 2020, Diamond and Silk worked as contributors for Fox News until they were let go by the news organization following COVID misinformation posts. So there's a conspiracy theory running around that Diamond died of COVID. Now, is it possible? Sure. Right? That would be pretty great. That would be funny. That'd be great. I don't know which. Okay, Diamond is on the left. So this one's the dead one. This one's still alive? Okay. Like, her dying of COVID, that'd be hilarious. Let's be honest. I mean, that would be the cherry on top. But you know what? I'm going to say this. A lot of people, they get triggered in this country. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of triggered crybabies in my comment section when I post the clip on YouTube. A lot of people get fucking triggered when we mock the dead. How dare you? How dare you mock the dead? Ah! My feelings! But you know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. If someone dies and that person's a piece of fucking garbage, I say, good. I say, well, the world just got X% better. That's what my opinion is. The less dumb motherfuckers on this planet, the better. The better. These anti-fucking vaccine, anti-mask, anti-freedom freak shows that spent their political careers attacking queer people, minorities, attacking all kinds of different people in service of the most powerful institutions this country has ever seen. I mean, talk about fucking losers. Talk about being a fucking loser. Seriously? Imagine dedicating your life to being pro-establishment, defending the president at all costs, being the president's personal mouthpiece. Whenever the president says something racist, let's get those black sisters out to say why it's not racist. That's what these people, that's what their role was. So you know what? Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. So, just like we have one more Koch brother, we got one more, I don't know, whatever their last name is, sister. And I say, COVID, hey, temporary truce, temporary alliance with COVID right now. Now again, it's unproven. It's unproven if she died of COVID. Of course, even if she were to have died of COVID, they wouldn't say anything about that because they don't believe in it. So, whatever. But anyway, this could theoretically be another example of the Herman Cain Award of prominent black Republicans killing themselves for racist in chief Orange J Man. Hey, I'm not going to shed a tear. So anyway, fuck them. So anyway, start the show off with some good news. Yo, I swear to God, though, when I upload the clip of this one, I'm not lying. Bookmark that shit. Come back in 24 hours when I upload that. You're going to see some gold in the comments. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. So, if anyone wants some entertainment. Was Diamond the one that was always saying, I don't know. To be honest, I barely watched anything they had to say. You know, they're just irrelevant garbage. Horrible, non-existent God now. You're right. Yeah, I love the idea that, like, she passed away in North Carolina. I mean, God forbid. If I pass away in North Carolina, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't... Who wants to pass away in North Carolina? Like, Jesus Christ. God damn. Everybody, I don't know how many times I need to ask, but I'm going to ask again. In fact, I'm not going to ask. I'm going to demand. Subscribe to my other YouTube channel. I'm trying to get monetized, motherfucker. I want to get monetized. Come on. It's free. Subscribe today. It's fucking free. I don't know what to tell you. It's fucking free. So anyway, subscribe today. Got a show going on today. Today is Wednesday, everybody. Mouse here is getting caught. Today is Wednesday, and it's a day, well, I don't know. The more important news, Arkansas has a new governor. Now, imagine this, Arkansas, that's a state that not only is a state, but it's in a state of disrepair. Arkansas is one of the lowest ranking states in the country on education, healthcare, freedom, etc. So there's a new governor in town. And what is the most important thing that this governor could do to repair the great name of Arkansas? Well, let's check it out. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders bans Latinx from Arkansas government documents. Sanders was sworn in Tuesday as the first female governor of Arkansas. How sad is it that the first female governor is some nepotism trust fund baby? Right? Like, she didn't get there because of her merits in spite of being a powerful woman. She got there because her daddy was a powerful politician. Embarrassing. But anyway, let's read. Arkansas Republican Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders will prohibit the use of the term Latinx in government documents through an executive order. Sanders, who was sworn in as the first female governor of Arkansas on Tuesday, justified the ban of the word Latinx in government documents and name titles by citing a Pew Research poll that found only 3% of American Latinos and Hispanics use the term to describe themselves. So, a lot of people, this is like one of those fake controversies that you see a lot of people cry and whine about, like fucking 5-year-olds. Latinx. Why does Latinx trigger so many people? I really don't understand. Oh no. Someone calls themselves Latinx. I'm triggered. I'm fucking triggered. Oh, I'm so sad. A lot of people don't know what Latinx is. Let me tell you. Latinx is a term that is supposed to be a gender-neutral term. Latina is a female word. Latino is a male word. Not everyone is male or female. Some people are something else, and they can refer to themselves as Latinx. It's not that big of a deal. If someone wants to call themselves Latinx, they should feel free to do so. If someone doesn't want to call themselves Latinx, they should also feel free to do so. The idea that you would ban the word is just ridiculous. It's just dumbass shit. Let's be honest. This is some culture war garbage. And it gets people up in a tizzy. I mean, come on now. Oh no. Someone called themselves Latinx. Christ almighty. Quote, ethnically insensitive and pejorative language. Now, how is it ethnically insensitive? It's not. Pejorative? No. Has no place in official government documents or government employee titles. Now, once again, how is this pro-freedom? This is like the Freedom Party, right? They love freedom. If you want to call yourself Latinx, you're not allowed to if you live in Arkansas. Isn't that a little weird? A little strange. And also, look at this poll. Pew Research poll found that only 3% of American Latinos and Hispanics use the term to describe themselves. To describe themselves. Now, this is not a poll that is whether or not they like the word or the term. That's not what the poll asked. The poll asked how many would use that to describe themselves. So, really, what this is saying is there's about 3% of people in this demographic that probably identify in some way against their birth gender. That's what it's saying. Oh, wow. 3% of this demographic is okay with identifying something with something that's not necessarily their birth gender. That's pretty much all it says. It's not, do you like the word? Yes or no. It's, do you consider yourself this? Yes or no, right? So it's an important distinction. Of course, Americans are so stupid they don't know how to read polls. The government has a responsibility to respect its citizens and use ethnically appropriate language, particularly when referring to ethnic minorities. I love how they're trying to do this like woke shit. They're trying to out-woke the wokesters. Like, I don't give a fuck what your opinion is on Latinx. Like, first of all, if you have an opinion, let's be honest. If you have an opinion on the word Latinx and you look like me, I mean, let's be honest. Like, no one cares, right? And so in the same instance, if you look like this, no one should fucking care what your opinion on Latinx is, okay? So again, I don't give a fuck. You like the word, you don't like the word. I don't care. The idea that you would ban the ability for someone to self-describe with this language is not freedom. It's bullshit. It's oppression. Progressive groups and some politicians have pushed the term Latinx in recent years as a gender-neutral alternative to the Spanish words Latina and Latino. Sanders noted in an executive order that the Real Academia Española, a Madrid-based institution that serves as a linguistic guide for Spanish, officially rejects the use of X to replace O and A as a way to identify gender in the language. And? What does that mean? Why is this like, why do people get so fucking triggered about the idea that you would de-gender an extremely gendered language? Like, let's be honest. Does Spanish really need to have gendered language? Right? Why does a chair have a gender? Why does a couch have a gender? You know what I mean? Like, what a stupid fucking language. But hey, English is fucking stupid too. I want to speak a language that has, like, you know, there's some like Nordic languages, some European languages as well, Eastern European languages that don't even have gendered language. Like, they don't have gendered pronouns. It's just all they, them, all the time, gender neutral garbage, right? Or gender neutral terminology. You know, that's a superior language in my opinion, but also my opinion doesn't matter. One can no more easily remove gender from Spanish and other Romance languages. I love that, Romance languages, yo. Like, the idea that a chair is a female, that's a Romance language. Yo, I'm gonna serenade that chair, motherfucker. I don't know, man. It's a bunch of dumbass bullshit. The whole debate around Latinx. I mean, seriously, everyone involved should probably get a life. Everyone involved should probably find something better to do, including the governor of Arkansas. But anyway, who cares? If someone wants to identify as whatever, I don't give a shit. And if you want to restrict someone's freedom to identify as whatever, then that's not freedom. That's called tyranny. That's called oppression. I don't know what to tell you. So, pretty basic facts there. Got a program here. Brooke H is fleeing the program. What a day to be alive. What a day to be alive. So we got a show here today. Let's jump in. Let's talk about the culture war here. Now, is this the culture war? Anything with Republicans is a culture war. So, I have a question for people that would identify as economically literate. Do you consider yourself someone that understands economics in any fashion? A lot of Republicans like to pretend that they do. But I want to ask you a question. If someone asked you, well, let's just say this. If someone forced you to give them money via taxes, and then you found out that they were just sitting on the money and weren't using it, would you be happy about that? Is that fiscal responsibility? They took more than they should have from you. But Republicans like to pretend that budget surpluses are fiscally responsible. I'm sorry, but a budget surplus is not fiscally responsible. It is by definition fiscally unresponsible, irresponsible. They are taking more money than they need to from you and doing nothing with it. Now, meanwhile, there's plenty of problems going on where they could be spending that money, fixing potholes, fixing plumbing infrastructure, etc. So let's check out this Washington Post article that is trying to bring economics to the forefront of the culture war. Surplus in Texas, deficit in California could inflame Washington debate. Now, is a deficit necessarily good? No. But is a deficit necessarily bad? Also no. Is a surplus necessarily good? Absolutely not. And is a surplus necessarily bad? Yes. So therefore, I would rather the government have a deficit than a surplus. Especially, look at what's going on in Texas. Power outages every winter. Potholes all over the place. Plumbing infrastructure destroyed. Electricity infrastructure destroyed. And they're sitting on a fat pile of cash that they took from you. Is that fiscally responsible? Just waiting for whatever next budget bill or whatever they're going to pass to give that free money to their corporate donors. Two of the country's biggest states revealed starkly different fiscal pictures this week, with California's leaders saying years of record surpluses are over. Even as Texas officials gloated about their historic surfeit of cash. California Governor Gavin Newsom revealed a $2.5 billion deficit as he unveiled his preliminary budget proposal for the state of Tuesday, a dramatic reversal from a massive $100 billion surplus the state forecasted just last year. So, once again, what happened to that money? Now, I don't live in California. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything that California has been doing. I don't live there. I don't pay attention to that. But what happened to that money? Was it used to expand the water supply that is very rapidly dwindling in California? Maybe, I don't know. Was it used to fix the infrastructure at all? I don't know. I don't live there. What happened to it? That's what I want to know. In the same instance, then I want to know what's going to happen to the Texas surplus. I'm sick and tired of these fucking whiny Republicans who pretend that they know economics. They're fiscally literate. I'm a fiscally responsive American. Once again, if you found out that the mafia who's shaking you down took your money and is just sitting on it, I don't know, man. If I'm going to pay taxes into a system, I want those tax dollars to be used to benefit me in some fashion. And the government sitting on the money while they write legislation to give it to their corporate friends, that's not helping me. So once again, I would rather the government have a deficit than a surplus. Now, obviously, the ideal scenario would be you write a budget and you follow the budget. I don't know why that's so difficult for a lot of these states, but hey, whatever. He blamed the heavy reliance on taxing high-income residents and stock market earnings that have tumbled, in some cases dramatically, as the tech sector struggled of late. We're talking about Gavin Newsom here. If you ask why California, what more evidence do you need than that? Newsom said in a news conference in Sacramento. In Austin, meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott told lawmakers that he had never been more excited at the opening of a new legislative session because of the record $33 billion surplus that the state is projecting. Now, once again, $33 billion of money that they essentially stole from you and they're not going to do anything with. So we have two options here. Texas can use that money to fix their infrastructure, to fix the roads, to fix the plumbing, to fix the electricity grid, or they should give it all back to the citizens in the form of a stimulus check. Now, I personally believe that taxation, personally, should be avoided at all cost. That's my opinion. I think we should tax the rich, and poor people should get a fair shake. That's my opinion. Right? But again, poor people get taxed a lot. Poor people, oftentimes, taxes are a huge portion of the money that they wish they had. They see their paychecks, what's on there versus what they get afterward, and they're like, damn. So I say, hey, why not help average Texan workers and use this $33 billion surplus to give them all a stimulus check, a tax rebate? They got ripped off. If I'm a worker in Texas and I see that shit, they stole my money and they're doing nothing with it, I'd feel ripped the fuck off. I could have used that money on a new refrigerator. I could have used that money on a new appliance, a new stove. I could have used that money on groceries. Instead, it's sitting in the Texas Treasury just waiting for a bill to be written so that it can be given all away to their corporate ghoul friends. Not every state can say what we can say, Abbott boasted. As we sit here today with a budget surplus of $32.7 billion, California has a budget deficit of more than $20 billion. Like, now I know Americans are fucking stupid. Think about it. Americans are fucking stupid. So Americans, they believe that a budget surplus is a good thing? Really? Like, again, imagine being so fucking stupid that you think a budget surplus is good. That means they're taking more money than they're using from you. Wouldn't that money be better spent at the grocery store than it would be sitting in the coffers of the Texas government? I mean, come the fuck on. The divergent financial forecasts in California and Texas come at a time when political leaders in Washington are girding for battles over federal tax and budget policy. Now, again, Washington Post is a website owned by corporate mega oligarch Jeff Bezos, who loves when poor people fight over stupid made-up garbage. And so that's why this article is going to take a both sides approach. Republicans want to take your money and do nothing with it. Democrats want to take your money and do way more than they're asking with it. Now, you ask me what I would prefer. I would prefer Democrats taking money and doing way more than they asked for with it than Republicans taking my money and sitting on it. I'm just saying. Now, obviously, we should be able to write we have computers now, right? This isn't, we don't need to do hand math anymore. We have computers. We should be able to write a budget and then follow the budget. I'm just saying, like, that should be possible. I don't know why that's not possible, but it should be. But the idea that Republicans are arguing economic policy in good faith is ridiculous. It's ridiculous fucking garbage. The idea that Republicans are going to enter a well-respected good faith debate with their colleagues on the other side of the aisle over fiscal policy. I mean, come on. Come on. Really? You think that? You think Republicans? You think these fucking corporate handout, trust fund baby, nepotism baby fucking party of the elites has your back? Come the fuck on. I mean, again, I know Americans are stupid, but are they that stupid? Maybe. Anyway, I don't care about what these fucking weirdos have to say. This is my opinion on the budget surplus thing. You're going to be seeing a lot of this shit. Whenever Republicans have any sort of power whatsoever, they love to pivot from culture war garbage to the fiscally responsible person in the room. That's what they love to do. They love to pretend to be fiscally responsible. But they never are. What did Trump do when he had all three branches of government? Tax cuts for the rich, baby. He increased the taxes on the poor, the workers in this country, and gave all that money to his rich friends. So I ask this once again. How stupid are Americans? Now, I know they're pretty fucking stupid. But can anyone actually in good faith explain to me why a budget surplus is good for anybody? I don't know. I feel like I should be able to ask for my money back. But hey, what do I know? I don't live in Texas either, so whatever. There you go. That's going to be a big thing, I guess, we're going to be talking about as we roll into the debt ceiling debacle. You know, it's just going to be a disaster. And they're going to pretend, you know, this is like the thing. The average American thinks that, like, Republicans are better on inflation. What? Like, Americans are so fucking stupid. They actually think Republicans are better on economic policies. That's how fucking stupid Americans are. So we'll see how this plays out in the court of public opinion. But in the court of public opinion, the judges are all fucking mental patients. So that's America, folks. I don't know what to say. We already covered Diamond and Silk's tragic passing. Tragic passing. So sad. 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 Unexpected and sad. Anyway, so that's some news. I guess that's like the only real legitimate news story. I got some other stuff that I want to talk about. Guns. Democratic politicians, they love doing gun control bills in states. Statewide gun control bills. Now, are gun control bills in individual states better than nothing? Maybe. But the problem with this country is we have open borders. I know, can you believe it? Open borders between states. So, if you ban guns in one state, but they are completely legal and easy to get in a neighboring state, all you're doing is pushing guns to the black market and making them less traceable. That's just my opinion. So anyway, let's jump into this news article. Illinois became the latest state in the U.S. to ban assault weapons. Now, do I think that this is going to have a net positive result? Let's not watch this advertisement. Get it out. Get it out. maybe it will be net positive. But let's be honest. Let's be real. All this is really going to do is make it harder for the Illinois government to understand who in the state has guns and where they got them. Because if neighboring states, and those neighboring states have open borders, have free gun shows, buy one, get 10 free, it doesn't really fucking matter what the gun laws are in Illinois. So once again, this is why I think individual state action on gun control is not really possible. This is something we have to either, if Illinois wanted to build a wall and have checkpoints at every entrance into the state where they were able to check for guns, then maybe this law would have any effect whatsoever. But that's not legal, given the United States federated open border policy. Right? So, let's read. Just hours after the legislation's passage in both chambers of the Illinois General Assembly, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the Protect Illinois Communities Act into law during a ceremony at the state capitol in Springfield. Supporters, some of whom were gun violence survivors, erupted with applause and cheers as the governor presented the signed document. Does anyone here want to have a little fun fact, a little trivia? J.B. Pritzker's sister is the only transgender billionaire. Look it up. Not a joke, folks. Just throwing that out there. Just, unrelated fun trivia. Quote, for a long time now, I and many other leaders in Illinois General Assembly have prioritized getting the most dangerous weapons off our state streets, Pritzker said in a statement Tuesday. Today, honoring the commitment we made, we passed one of the strongest assault weapons bans in the nation, one I will be proud to sign. Now again, is it maybe a net positive? That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen, okay? We don't know if it'll be a net positive. It's really hard to say. But the thing is, for these laws to have really any effect, they need to be multi-state compacts. Or pacts, I suppose. I don't know which one would be better. We need to have multiple states sign the same legislation and enforce it in the same fashion. So, now again, am I here to say I don't believe in gun control? Well, maybe I am. I don't know. It depends on how we define gun control. But the only possible way that we'll have any actual real-world effect on gun violence in this country is if the federal government did something about it. And I don't think they will. I don't think the federal government will do anything about guns. But then let's imagine, what if they did do something? What would they do? The guns are already everywhere. They would have to spend billions of dollars on federal agents to go door to door and get people's guns, which, let's be honest, that's not going to go well. I don't think guns in this country is a problem that will be solved in any of our lifetimes. We have to get used to the fact that we live in an active war zone. That's the United States of America. If you live in a city, it's essentially an active war zone. If you live in a rural community and you're a minority, it's essentially an active war zone. This country is full of freaks and psychopaths that love killing each other over stupid reasons. That's just the facts. Our country is full of homicidal maniacs. And I don't think the government is capable of doing anything about it. Now, I'm telling you, I advocate if the government could take all of our guns away, I agree, take the guns. But if the government does some half-assed solution with loopholes or doesn't enforce it in red states or some shit, then I say, fuck that shit, let me keep my guns. It's either, in my opinion, you take them all or you take none. That's my opinion. So, I don't know, man. Is it good news for Illinois? Maybe. We'll see. It really depends. We don't really know. It's hard to say if this is good news. 9 U.S. states, as well as Washington, D.C., now prohibit the sale or possession of military-style weapons, driven largely by deadly mass shootings in their communities. For Illinois, the ban came 6 months after a gunman wielding a semi-automatic rifle shot and killed 7 people at a 4th of July parade in the Chicago suburb of Highland Park. No Illinoisan, no matter the zip code, should have to go through life fearing their loved one could be the next in an ever-growing list of victims of mass shootings. Now again, as long as states have open borders between each other, that is not possibly guaranteed. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I also just want to say this. I agree with a ban on assault weapons. But once again, ban them all or ban none. That's my opinion. Well, actually, there is something to be said for harm reduction. But still. But when we talk about guns in this country, why don't we talk about suicides, man? 50,000 people kill themselves every year. And the most likely way that they're going to kill themselves, with guns. Guns, the most common form of gun-related death is suicide or accident. Americans are so fucking stupid that they buy these high-powered killing machines, don't research how to use them, and then accidentally shoot themselves or their friends or family with it. That's how dumb Americans are. Now again, mass shootings, huge fucking problems. Huge fucking problem. But how do we fix mass shootings? The government is too anemic to do anything about it. Let's be honest. The government is too fucking chicken shit to do anything about it. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to fucking piss on the parade here or anything. Maybe I do if it's a 4th of July parade. Fuck that shit. But anyway, I don't know, man. I see shit like this and I'm thinking, and no matter their zip code, what if their zip code is right next to a neighboring state that has loose gun laws? I don't know. Pritzker, the Democratic incumbent who defeated Republican challenger State Sen Darren Bailey in November to win a second term, has campaigned for a re-election on the promise of stricter gun laws. According to the Illinois State Rifle Association, the ban affects nearly 2.5 million legal firearm owners in the state. Challenge accepted, ISRA Executive Director Richard A. blah 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 said in response to the ban. The Illinois State Rifle Association will see the state of Illinois in court. So once again, I'm just saying, is it good for the optics, maybe, for their people? Sure. But are these gun laws really going to do anything? I'm just saying. I don't think so. I think the best way to stop gun violence in this country is with education. And I'm not talking about gun safety education, although that should also be prioritized. But I'm just saying simple education. Why are people having guns and going to murder a bunch of black people because they think black people are secretly taking over the country? Why? Because they're fucking crazy and they're uneducated fucking clowns. Why would someone go into a Walmart to kill immigrants because they think immigrants are taking over the country? Because they're fucking clowns. They're fucking morons. And I think the government has more potential possibility to reform education than it does to reform guns. I mean, just look at the way that this country is right now. I mean, my God, I'm totally down to have a point-by-point, step-by-step plan to get rid of guns in this country, but I have seen no one present an actual way to do that. No one. I've seen zero politicians, no gun control advocates ever present a plan that acknowledges reality. The reality is the people in this country are insane. The reality is our country's institutions are insane. Why is this country still putting up with the Supreme Court? Because we're a bunch of uneducated fucking clowns. Why does this country put up with the U.S. Senate? Because we're a bunch of uneducated fucking clowns. And as long as this country is full of fucked up freaks, psychopaths, homicidal maniacs, Our government is going to reflect that. And I'm just saying, I don't see any gun control advocates that acknowledge real world issues. I just don't. So yes, I support banning all guns. Absolutely. That said, I don't see why or how that's going to happen in this country. Maybe 50 years down the line, who knows? But as long as we have fucked up freaks in the Senate and fucked up freaks in the Supreme Court and fucked up freaks in the White House and the House for that matter, as well as fucked up freaks all over the country, my gun control solution, just wait for as many people to die off as possible and then take over the goddamn government. No, or leave, or just get the fuck out. I mean, that's another, you want to get away from the guns? Leave the country. I think that's a little bit, hey, something you can do right now to escape the gun violence, get the fuck out, But hey, I know a lot of people, something is magnetically attracting us to staying in the freak show. We got a front row seat. Us Americans have a front row seat. Now, some people say sitting in the front row, maybe it'll hurt your eyes. I don't know. Maybe you don't see a wide enough peripheral view, maybe. All I know is I get a front row seat to the freak show. And you know what? I'm going to check out a couple more seasons of this program before I get the hell out of here. But there you go. Gun control in Illinois. I mean, again, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'd be shocked if, 3-4 years down the line, this has major differences. And it might. It very well might. I'm not here to say I have definitive answers. We'll see. K-pop girl posting facts in the chat room. Where would I go if I left the U.S.? High instances on the list. Netherlands. You know why. New Zealand. Canada. Maybe. I feel like the Netherlands are better than Canada. The only thing Canada's got is that it's closer. But I would like to be where the snow is. I love snow. I'm a snow fan. But yeah. Those are the 3 that I have in my mind. Yeah, that's the thing with Canada. All right. Oh boy, oh boy. Once again, I would appreciate it if you all subscribe to my other YouTube channel. You may not know this. I am a world famous Doom speedrunner. And I finally made another YouTube channel to post all my shit on there. I'm trying to get monetized. If you don't know how YouTube monetization works, let me tell you. YouTube monetization works by advertisements are on every video by default. The only difference is whether or not YouTube gets 100% or 30% of the money. So as of right now on my channel, my other channel, YouTube gets 100% of the revenue. I would like to reduce that to 30%. And the way that I would do that is by getting subscriptions. So think of it as a small free way of donating money to me. Something you can do. You can mute the channel. I don't care. Just subscribe. That's all I care about. Thank you. But anyway, this is an interesting story that I want to read. Vancouver man wants to open Canada's first crack and heroin store. On January 31, British Columbia will decriminalize personal use quantities of heroin, fentanyl, meth, cocaine, and MDMA. Possessing less than 2.5 grams of those drugs will no longer be illegal. The drugstore, which is the best possible name, well, only 3 weeks to go before British Columbia's decriminalization of hard drugs. A Vancouver man says he is already planning to open Canada's first store selling crack, meth, and heroin. Look at all these fucking ads here that I'm... Known as the drugstore, it would be a retail location selling hard drugs in quantities of 2.5 grams per customer. Staff would wear bulletproof vests and face masks, not for COVID safety, but to shroud their identities. Quote, the drugstore will provide customers with reliable access to safe, tested drugs. Harm reduction supplies such as unused sterile needles, pipes, etc., and educational information, reads a business plan provided to a reporter for Vice News. So once again, real quick, this guy is going to get arrested instantly. They're going to get arrested instantly. Everyone involved with this, as soon as it opens, are going to get arrested pretty much instantly. But they shouldn't. And I want to keep reading this because I 1,000% support this plan. And this is 1,000% what needs to be done, not just in Canada, but in the United States and every country that has to deal with a pandemic of drug-related deaths. The fentanyl crisis is not actually a crisis of people overdosing on fentanyl. The fentanyl crisis are people dying because of the U.S.'s exported policy of a globalized war on drugs. That is what resulted in the fentanyl crisis. Drugs could be legalized and regulated to ensure maximum possible safety, just like alcohol. When alcohol was illegalized in this country during the Prohibition era, what happened? Two major things happened during Prohibition in the United States that we can learn from. One, Prohibition created the U.S. Mafia. The U.S. Mafia was birthed by Prohibition. Why? Because they were willing to break the law. And they were willing to operate black markets. And they reaped all the rewards and used that financing to engage in illegal criminal activity in this country for decades following. So, just throwing that out there. But, hey, I think the mafia is pretty cool. So let's look at the other reason. Bad batches. A lot of people, referred to as moonshiners, would make alcoholic beverages in their bathtubs, other ways, distilleries that were not regulated, not cleaned, whatever. Oftentimes, ingredients used were not properly handled. It would result in people drinking the product and keeling over. Do you see that nowadays? When's the last time someone's had one sip of moonshine and died? You don't see that. Why? Because the government regulates alcohol production. So once again, the crisis of fentanyl overdoses is not because of fentanyl. It's because people are consuming drugs without knowing what's in them. Now, that's a problem. If you are putting stuff in your body and you have no idea what's in there, you're not going to last long. And so that's why the so-called opioid crisis in this country, the United States, ballooned 3 or 4 times the amount of deaths that we now see in the so-called fentanyl crisis. Why? Because opioids were rightfully stopped giving away like candy. But unfortunately, you can't undo the addiction that many people in this country had. And they turned to harder drugs. And some of them were laced with fentanyl. And then they died. So let's keep going. Not included in the report was where the business's inventory would come from. While Vancouver recently became home to clinics that will prescribe medical-grade opioids to drug users, there was no mention of a similar arrangement for the drugs store. It's all the brainchild of Jerry Martin, a self-proclaimed king of compassion who recently stood trial on charges related to the alleged operation of an illegal cannabis dispensary in Whitewood, Saskatchewan. Martin's dispensary, Martin Medical Services, was raided by the RCMP in 2016, just 2 years before Canada legalized retail sales of recreational cannabis. On January 31, British Columbia will decriminalize personal use quantities of heroin, fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, and MDMA. Starting at the end of the month, possessing less than 2.5 grams of those drugs will no longer be illegal. The criminal status of drugs is a federal responsibility, of course, but British Columbia successfully obtained a 2-year time-limited exemption from the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. According to the province, the emergency measure is, quote, intended to, quote, reduce the barriers and stigma related to drug addiction in a bid to curb the province's sky-high rates of overdose fatalities. But while personal use possession will now become decriminalized, it will remain just as illegal to sell or traffic any of those drugs. Under this exemption, illegal drugs will not be legalized and will not be sold in stores, states a provincial background document on the policy. Nevertheless, Vancouver has a long history of looking the other way when retail locations start selling illegal drugs over the counter. Before Canada legalized recreational marijuana in 2018, Vancouver was home to more than 3 dozen cannabis dispensaries whose existence was a direct contravention of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. But the sector became entrenched for the simple reason that Vancouver police openly refused to bust them. Quote, we do have a priority-based approach to policing here in Vancouver, and we do not have other priorities. And we do have other priorities, which means that's the bottom of their list, and they got more important shit to do. So maybe this drugstore will last a little longer. We'll see. I'm not sure. I don't live in Vancouver, right? So I don't have that information. But if something like that happened here, they'd get fucked pretty fast. Was how Vancouver police spokesperson Brian Montague explained the system at the time. Martin told Vice getting arrested for the drugstore is part of the plan. Should the store be busted, his goal would be to mount a charter challenge against the federal prohibition on hard drugs. Yo, I gotta get this guy on my show. This guy sounds like a fucking hero. If anyone knows this guy, if anyone has a contact, I'd love to bring him on. The case would essentially argue that banning retail sales of hard drugs is a contravention of the charter guaranteed right to life, liberty, and security of person on the grounds that it causes drug users to seek out illegal sources of drugs which carry a higher overdose risk. It's basically the same challenge Martin had attempted in the case of his Whitewood dispensary. Basically, quote, allowing medical storefront access has been the main goal all along, he told Grasslands News just before going to trial in 2021. In that case, the challenge fizzled out in part due to the federal passage of the Cannabis Act, which rendered many of the case's core arguments moot. But in a recent Facebook case bemoaning the expense and mental strain of the failed challenge, Martin said he was ready to do it all again. Quote, I would risk my freedom all over again and lose everything. Give up everything to change the law so that people can get help medicinally. Again, hero. This guy is a hero. So I guess that's the end of the article. But I want to follow up on this for sure. The drugstore. Once again, I'm 1000% endorsing this. This is something that needs to be done. If someone is addicted to drugs, do you understand what the word addicted means? For example, About 93% of Americans are addicted to drugs. Drug addicts. 93% of Americans are addicted to sugar, which is an ultra-processed, refined, pure drug. It is a hard drug. 93% of Americans are addicted. But if someone is addicted to something, it means that they cannot stop taking it without medical intervention, or at the very least, social intervention, a support group. The idea that drug addicts should be forced, especially when the government, the United States government, of course, this isn't Canada, but the United States government got millions of people addicted to opioids and then said, well, you're on your own. Did those millions of people just quit cold turkey? No. They went to things like heroin and black market pills that, of course, were laced with fentanyl, and that is why people are dying. People are not dying necessarily because of the drugs. Now, a lot of these drugs have severe negative health impacts in the same way that sugar does. I think people should be allowed to put harmful things in their body. I think people should be allowed to try any drug that they want. Just as I think people should be allowed to get help if they want to. And so, of course, drugs need to be legalized and regulated. Fentanyl only exists because of black markets. If you got rid of black markets, you would get rid of fentanyl. No one wants fentanyl. No one needs fentanyl, except for maybe people performing surgeries at the emergency room. So once again, fentanyl only exists because of the war on drugs. The war on drugs, which is one of the United States' most disastrous exports, was started because Richard Nixon hated black people. No joke, look it up. We have to deal with the war on drugs today because some dead racist hated black people. People are getting killed from overdoses of fentanyl right now because Richard Nixon hated black people. Of course, what I'm referring to is Richard Nixon's administration. We're coming up with ways to revoke the right to vote from black people shortly after the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act were passed in the 1960s. Richard Nixon came along and was like, oh shit, these black people are voting and they're not voting for me. What do we do? Oh, I know. The blacks love weed. Let's just make it illegal and then arrest them all. And the rest was history. And all the other major countries in the world, in Europe, in North America, they followed in the footsteps. Why? Because they were afraid of what the U.S. government would do to them. If they didn't ban drugs, maybe the U.S. would go after them. Maybe it would ruin their geopolitical relationships. So we engage in a worldwide war on drugs that has affected the entire planet, has killed millions of people, because Richard Nixon hated black people. So we want to talk about the legacy of racism in this country. We got to talk about the Controlled Substances Act in the United States and how it exported all across the world. So there you go. I got to get this guy on my show. Weed was not legal, sci-fi, but it wasn't so criminally punishable that it would, revoke people's right to vote and so forth. So, I believe there were cannabis control acts or whatever in the 1930s and 40s or some shit. But the Controlled Substances Act set up essentially the groundwork to strip people's rights to vote, as well as gave a lot of money and created the Drug Enforcement Agency, which is, again, just a Gestapo group that patrols neighborhoods searching for drug users to arrest and then strip their right to vote. But, yeah. Anyway, that's the show for today. That's all I got in the news. Hopefully y'all appreciated the program. We're about to enter the Q-Cock portion of today's show. Questions, comments, or concerns. Q-Cock, everybody. Post your Q's. And don't forget about the cocks. But, yeah. Yeah. Harry Anslinger is probably the most consequential figure behind the war on drugs. Yeah, pretty much everyone involved in that very thin slice of U.S. politics has had just extremely horrible consequences on the world. Have I been watching any movies lately? Yeah, I've been watching some movies. I'm taking a break from movie reviews, but I've been watching movies. Yes. I'll get back into movie review stuff pretty soon, for sure. The goddamn Betsy Ross flag sewn with hemp. Yo, those founding fathers, they loved hemp, man. I don't even know. Apparently, millennials and Gen Z aren't going to the right as they get older, and that's supposed to be our hope. I don't put much faith in younger generations. I know, like, it's the expectations game, right? Is it possible that Gen Z will save us? Maybe. But am I going to pin my hopes on that? I don't think so. I don't know. Your ready of that Officer Orgy was way better than the others that covered it yesterday, by the way. Oh, you mean reading? I didn't know anyone else covered that. That's funny. I gotta go check them out. But yeah, way better. I'll take it. I'll take it. I am the premier presenter in the left-wing media world. Curious about The Last of Us premiering Sunday? Not curious about it. This is the first I've heard of it, and I also don't know what it is. Isn't that a video game? Is it like a movie based on the video game or something? I don't know. I've never played the game. Don't know anything about it. Generation Z is anybody 25 and below? Actually, maybe it's 26 and below now. I don't know. I'm not sure. Once again, I am the youngest millennial. That's where I'm at. I'm right on the cutoff. I'm the youngest possible millennial. Some people say I'm the oldest possible Zoomer, but I'd rather be the youngest millennial than the oldest Zoomer, because I'm going to be honest with you, I understand people older than me way more than I understand people younger than me. I have no idea what the kids are doing, so fuck them. Fuck them. Some people say I'm Generation Z. I say I disagree. But according to a quote-unquote official metrics, now again, generations are pretty made up anyway, but according to quote-unquote official metrics, millennials stop at 1996, which is the year I was born, and that makes me a millennial. So, a TV show recommendation, A League of Their Own. I haven't heard of it. Thoughts on Channel 5 sexual assault scandal. I read about that. I was looking forward to watching that guy's documentary, but I don't think I can do that anymore. But what are my thoughts? I mean, it's unfortunate, I guess. But what's really unfortunate is I saw a lot of people defending that guy. And Like, I'm talking about left-wingers, you know, like on Twitter, YouTube, a lot of people saying, oh, and that's scary. That's scary. I know a lot. I don't want to sound like I hate all men, right? You know, I don't want to be one of those people. But whenever I think about the idea that someone can call themselves a leftist, but still be a sex pest, a serial assaulter, I mean, that's scary, man. Right? Like, you'd think, oh, I'm a leftist. I support people. I'm compassionate. Isn't that the foundation of left-wing thought? You know, isn't that the fucking foundation? But anyway, a lot of people, they call themselves leftists for branding purposes. Because for most people, and this includes leftists and 100% of conservatives, but I would say maybe like 70 or 80% of leftists, and liberals entirely, 100% of liberals. Politics is branding. It's about, like, you know, it's like, what kind of t-shirt are you going to wear? What logo are you going to put on your t-shirt? What kind of sneakers are you going to buy? That's most people's relationship to politics. And that's why you see, like, so-called left-wingers personally engage in disgusting behavior, because for them, left-wing doesn't mean anything other than what kind of hat you're wearing. I don't know what left Twitch is. I was just talking about Twitter and YouTube. That I don't watch Twitch streams. So Bob Odenkirk's new show has a release date, yep. And they changed the name from Straight Man to Lucky Hank. I don't know. I think Straight Man is a little bit better, but I don't know. The woke mind virus got him there. Well, the culture war is made up garbage. There's no such thing as a culture war. Anyone that falls for that kind of propaganda is, you know, at the risk of sounding a little cliche, but they're trapped in the matrix. Anybody that thinks any of these culture war issues is remotely relevant, they're trapped in the matrix, my friends. I don't know what to say. They are blue pill aficionados. Like, could you imagine actually thinking, like, Latinx is a big deal? Imagine actually thinking critical race theory is a big deal. Imagine actually thinking that a transgender person walking around, like, outside is going to somehow destroy all of our children. Like, they're just fucking insane, and they're dumb, and they're uneducated, and they cannot think for themselves. They just have a bunch of fucking right-wing, oligarch-friendly ass sniffers that are just constantly in their ear to be the soundtrack of their life. And they walk around just seeing the world through the lens of the rich people. It's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, politicians legislate things as a way to give their base more distractions, of course. That's why you see shit in Florida like the Stop Woke Act. And then Ron DeSantis, when asked to define woke, could not define woke. They wrote entire legislation to stop something they couldn't even define. You know? My problem with Latinx is the hard X doesn't exist in the Spanish language. Yeah, I don't really care about that shit. I'm not Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. That's not my lane. I don't care. But I think it's stupid that other people care. Latin, yeah, I know Latin. A lot of people have said that. It sounds a little bit better. But also, I don't care. If someone wants to identify as Latin, feel free. Latina, feel free. Latinx, feel free. Latino, I don't know about these men nowadays. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't let them self-identify as Latino. I mean, hey. I'm just joking. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing else for today, so. I might stream on Twitch later if anyone wants to check it out. That would be cool if you did. You don't have to. But it would be cool. Just think about it, right? Think about it. It would be cool. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying it's necessary. But it would be cool. I don't know, man. Like, am I allowed to say that? That it would be fucking cool? I think it would be pretty cool if you did. Follow me there. 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T. I gotta look it up. International Thank You Day. You're welcome. I was blown away when AOC recommended using Latinx and Kyle K did a whole segment going off. Yeah, I noticed a lot of people in that like Young Turks style, quote unquote, progressive sphere. They really don't like Latinx. I don't know why. I think it's just weird. You know, it's just like, get over it, you know? Like, I don't, like, who cares? You know, like, it really is like a who cares kind of thing. I don't know. I really do think that there's like a certain brand of quote unquote progressive that like gets off on like bucking like some like perceived progressive orthodoxy, you know? Like, they get off on this because it's like, this is like, oh, I'm the maverick progressive. I'm a progressive, but I don't believe in that other stuff. I feel like there's that strain there that like, and I also just like, you know, I don't know. People just like branding themselves. It's just weird. It's strange. Written by Dr. Seuss. Not easy to watch. Whoa. That's interesting. Yeah, I used to be a paperback subscriber of Jacobin, but I canceled my subscription because they, you know, they're just so cringe nowadays. I really, like January 6th, 2021 was where I was like, you know, like they were really fucking bad on that. And then it's just so many examples of them being bad. Their YouTube channel is awful. I miss Michael Brooks. Yeah, I subscribed to the Jacobin channel to watch the Michael Brooks show that was over there. And I'm still subscribed. And every once in a while I check out what their current iteration is. And it's just really, it's like their whole thing is like, we're communists, but we hate the woke. You know, it's like, you know, it's just like, why is that your brand? Talk about cringe. I rewatched Burgess and Feldman debate the other day. You know, that's a classic, man. I feel like I'm going to come back to that one at some point. It's because there's different kinds of Latins, so they want to be recognized for their beautiful variety. Give me a break. We are all the same. You are all the same. Everyone is the same shit. I pretty much agree with that. Is Ole on Jacobin? I did not see that. Jacobin shit the bed when they started advocating for the continued use of nuclear power. I've been trying to read more about nuclear power. I want to be more educated on that subject. TYT doesn't seem too crazy about the homeless either. Yo, I watched that fucking TYT clip. Someone sent me this on Twitter. Where, like, It was a segment of like Anna Kasparian crying about like some like Stanford dictionary thing, and then like in the middle of the segment, she just talks about like homeless encampments on the sidewalk are ableist because like someone in a wheelchair isn't gonna be able like, and I was like, yo man, I was gonna make a video about that. I was gonna talk about that, but like, I forgot. But fuck, man, that was hilarious. Like the way she like seamlessly went in and was like, yeah, you know what really sucks for disabled people? The homeless. Yeah, when I think of disabled people's biggest problems, I think of homelessness. Yeah. So bad. I mean, that's the thing, but like, I personally, my opinion is that well, first of all, I think anyone that's sticking to the label of progressive, I mean, that's gone. The word progressive, I mean, 5 years ago, progressive, I think, was more defined and more clear. But progressive now doesn't mean anything. Progressive, like what? You know, it's just like, what? It's just, I don't know what the word means anymore. Because so many people that call themselves progressive say some really regressive stuff. And it's like, oh, like, how can you be a progressive and you're voting for like a billionaire Republican? Oh, I'm so progressive. You know, it's like, what? Yeah, like, I don't know, man. Like, I just don't see value in shows like the Young Turks. Now, I said this, I watch some Young Turks clips now and then. I watch Kyle Kalinske clips now and then. I watch Jackaman, you know, I like to watch like a little bit from contemporaries of mine, people that are way more popular than me in the same space that I consider myself in. So I like to keep up with my contemporaries a little bit, you know. I like to see what they have to say. I like to see what they focus on. I like to see what the show structure is. You know, I want to stay stimulated. But like, I have come to the conclusion that like most of these people, like, they are lost and they don't have a paddle. They're just drifting in the ocean on like a fucking boat that's made out of like sticks, and they don't know where they're going. That's my perception of most of left-wing YouTube. I would say, you know, the channel that I have the most respect for, you know, that has any sort of popularity is probably the Humanist Report. I think he does a great job. But like, I think most people that have like broken that kind of like barrier of obscurity, you know, like I'm talking about people that have, you know, relatively high subscriber counts. I think most of them are just, I just think they've lost the plot and they're not really doing anything. And, you know, you know, yeah, David Dole is also really good. But like, just think about their subscriber base versus like the Young Turks. You know, Majority Report's good too. I will say, like, honestly, at this point, and you know, all respect, whatever, blah blah blah, I can really only watch the first half of the Majority Report. I mean, to me, like the fun half is unwatchable. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not learning anything. I feel like as far as like ability to contribute to my knowledge base, I feel like Sam Cedar has the most to offer on that whole show, but that's just my opinion. You know, so I only watch the interview segments on the Majority Report. You know, and no disrespect to the other people, it's just that I don't know. I haven't learned anything watching the fun half part of the Majority Report in a long time, so I just stopped watching. But I still like all the people involved. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I try to think about, like, how these people became popular. You know, like Young Turks, how do they get millions of subscribers? And I honestly don't know. I have no idea. Like, I don't know what the goals are. That's one of the things about the Bernie movement, right? Is you have, in 2020, you have the Bernie movement. And that was like a unifying moment. Like, a lot of people got under one, like, single message. And now that does not exist anymore. Right? There is no unification of progressivism. No one has an idea of what that means. There's no goal that everyone's fighting for at the same time. It's just a bunch of individually branded people trying to, like, maneuver through, like, the chess game of internet media. You know what I mean? Like, it's less about actually changing anything. It's less about teaching people and bettering people. And it's more about, like, I want to make some chess moves and hop up on the leaderboard a little bit. That's my perception. But also, you know, I don't watch 100% of the things that these people put out. So, you know, I only dabble. Yeah, I guess TYT has been on YouTube for a long time. That's true. I should do a... Y'all know that website Tier Maker? Someone make a Tier Maker template with every left-wing YouTube show, and I will do it, but someone else has to make the template. Because I don't want to make the template. That's work. But if someone makes a Tier Maker template with every left-wing show, I will do that. Well, I mean, I can do a right-wing one and a left-wing one, and then, like, a both combined. But to be honest, I don't watch right-wing media too much. Like, the only time I watch it is, like, when doing research for this show. Like, oh, what have the fucking psychos said today? You know? What are they doing now? So I try to stay up to date a little bit, but I don't watch them for entertainment. So... Yeah, I personally think that anybody who has any platform of popularity, whether or not they realize it, is... And this is like, you know, it's a 99% thing. It's not there are exceptions to this. I think there are a lot of great people that have broken through the barrier, so to speak. But I think most people that are in media and have any sort of recognition in any broader way, I think that they're more concerned with playing the chess game of internet media than they are about, like, actually doing anything for their audience. You know what I mean? Like, my goal for this show is I want to teach people. I want people to be able to watch my program and learn things, or at the very least be inspired to do research into things that they wouldn't have otherwise. You know, that's my goal. That's what I like doing. Like, the best thing that when people say is like, oh, you did this segment and I decided to, like, buy a book about it, and then I read a lot about this subject, and thank you for starting, you know, that's my goal. That's what I like. But I feel like that is not the case for a lot of my contemporaries. People from TYT Chicago meetup started a YouTube show, and unfortunately they became Tulsi supporters. Oh no. Oh. But yeah, once again, I might stream on Twitch later, play some Doom, etc. Go subscribe to my Doom channel on YouTube so I can get monetized. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow. I'm going to eat food because I am hungry. That's why. I'm going to eat food because I'm hungry. Everyone have a great day.